All right, welcome back to the Goals.com podcast. Today we're diving into the business of turning good Airbnbs into great ones and great ones into money-making machines. Our guest is Mark Lumpkin, sales director at STR Cribs, the company that helps short-term rental owners renovate, refresh, and reimagine their properties for maximum occupancy and revenue. If you've ever wondered how design, data, and sales all come together to create a five-star guest experience, this is the episode for you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Andrew. Super excited to chat with you.
Mark, you're the sales director at STR Cribs. For those who aren't familiar, what exactly does STR Cribs do, and what makes it unique in the short-term rental world?
What is unique about us is we are a licensed GC. For people listening, we're a general contractor that had traditionally for years done just home remodels and kitchen remodels and bathroom updates and things like that. And we found ourselves in the short-term rental space creating highly profitable Airbnbs. And so homes that are just very different from other properties in those markets. Maybe they have pickleball courts. Maybe they have crazy game rooms or movie theaters or indoor saunas. We just try to create unique experiences so that when a guest, a traveler is coming to your Airbnb, it's part of their vacation. It's the reason they're coming to town. And that's allowed our investors to charge a premium for their properties and really stand out in a very competitive industry.
Yeah, it's a super cool business. How did you end up in this role?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it's a long and winding road. I think like most people, where how you end up where you are is you had to go through a series of things. I had a software startup in the real estate space many years ago, and I was part of a mastermind group. So there's a lot of business owners and real estate investors. As my startup was winding down and we had a very small exit, we didn't make millions by any means, but as that was winding down for me, a friend that I had created through this real estate mastermind, his business was winding up and he had asked me to jump on and help out. And they were doing short-term rental design. So kind of a virtual design company that would order furniture for you. And I helped them build that business kind of from the ground up, spent a number of years there, and then ended up being recruited over to STR Cribs as they were getting started. They saw what I had done with the previous design firm. And so I just found myself with a very unique set of experiences and skills that I could have never predicted. And I was probably one of the few people in the world that had started an Airbnb design startup. And so this is my second one.
Yeah, very cool. You're not just selling a service, you're selling a vision of increased occupancy and higher rental rates. How do you communicate that value to potential clients who may not understand the ROI right away?
It's a great question. It's one of the hardest things to do at point of sale. And so it all comes down to education prior to the point of sale. And that would be being on podcasts with you, being very active on social media, sending out newsletters, doing webinars. My goal has always been when I jump on a call with someone for the first time, if they don't already know who I am, what I'm about, and what we're doing, then we have a problem. And on those calls, our closing percentage is very low. However, when we get on a call with someone that says, "Hey, Mark, yep, I listened to every one of those episodes you've been on. I've been following you guys for years on social media. I've seen your client testimonials. I know that what you do works, and so I want that." Those are the deals that we can make, and we can make pretty easily. And so it's less about selling people during the point of sale and more about selling them far before they ever even get to the point where they need our service. They need to know before they talk to us that we're the company they want to hire. And those seem to be, I like layups better than 3-point shots.
Me too, brother. Me too. In your experience, what are the biggest mistakes property owners make when trying to remodel or renovate for short-term rentals?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's actually, there's really only one mistake, and I've seen it over and over and over again, is they treat the remodel as if it was their primary property. And there is very hard set in stone rules that are just kind of common knowledge for rehabbing real estate that's tried and true. And the short-term rental rehab process is almost the exact opposite. And so an example I would say is if If my mom and dad are remodeling their house for them, what are the two main places they should spend their dollars? The kitchen and the bathrooms. However, if they're doing a property as a short-term rental, the kitchen and the bathroom are actually the last two places that they should put any money into.
Hmm.
And so something like that is it's very hard for people to wrap their minds around that, because we've been so conditioned that, yeah, you got to fix up your kitchen, you got to replace that ugly tile shower and do a nice new subway tile shower. You've got to have great extra spaces, and you don't want to have too many bedrooms. Even something as simple as everyone wants an open floor plan, open concept property. That's great for a primary residence. What we've actually seen in short-term rentals is that having a home that is segmented, by meaning like you come into a 1980 built house, that you got a shotgun kitchen, a living room on the other side of the wall. Every television show would tell you you're going to rip down that wall, you're going to do an open concept, you can see the living room from the kitchen. But if you think about the short-term rental experience, if we've got the kids in the living room and we're on vacation and they're playing video games and watching a movie, and the adults are hanging out in the kitchen drinking margaritas and talking about their day and what they did, you actually don't want an open floor plan. You want separation of space. And so I could go on and on and on about examples, but I would say it's the opposite of what you would do for your primary residence. That's a very hard thing for people to figure out. And it's a hard thing for contractors to think about, because if they don't do this every day, then they would just come in your house and say, oh yeah, this kitchen's ugly, we got to update it, and you got to spend 30 grand in here. And I'd go, oh, no, this kitchen's just fine. Spend your money somewhere else.
That's interesting. The short-term rental market is competitive and fast-moving. How do you keep your sales teams motivated and focused in that kind of environment?
Yeah, that's a harder question to answer. Well, money helps. I think that anytime you're running a sales organization, that incentivizing people with dollars, I mean, they're coming to work, it's a job, so they're not doing it
Absolutely.
for free, they're not doing it for charity. So definitely money keeps people motivated. I would say that happy customers can be the number one key to keeping your sales team motivated. And if you are asking your sales team on the front end to bust their ass, work long hours, take those weekend calls, things like that, to make deals, and then you have unhappy, unsatisfied customers as they go through your service process, that's the easiest way to demotivate a sales team. And quite the opposite, if you have very happy customers who are then like, they become repeat clients and they send referrals and they make those social media posts. Oh my gosh, these guys are taking such good care of me. To me, that's a great way to motivate your sales team, and it makes their lives so much easier. So I would say really the biggest thing is performing on your promises and taking good care of the existing clients you have. And that's going to make your sales team's life so much easier and keep them motivated.
Love it. What role does storytelling play in convincing property owners to invest in renovations with STR Cribs?
I think it's the most important thing. It's everything. It's even everything for their properties. When they're listing these homes, when you're listing an Airbnb online, you're telling a story, you're selling an experience. As not traditional real estate, it is a vacation. And so you look at the Four Seasons and the Marriotts and these higher end brands in the hospitality world, they sell an experience. I know that when I go to the Hilton, I'm getting my bottle of water and my cookie every single time. It's consistent, it's different. And I know when I'm going to the Four Seasons, I get this, and this, because they've told that story over and over and over again with their marketing, with their branding, with their community outreach. And so it's exact the same for us at STR Cribs. And then it's the exact same for our property owners and investors we work with. Their property has to tell a story that someone's going to come and have an experience. It's like, it's the sell the sizzle, not the steak, right? You're selling the feeling, not the actual product itself.
Got it. So along those lines, how do you balance educating clients with actually closing deals?
Yeah. That's very interesting, because you can overeducate clients and you can cost yourself deals if you provide too much information. And so that's a gray area in finding the perfect balance.
Hmm.
I would say it's on a case by case basis. Every person is a little bit different. And there's some clients that are very analytical and they want to know A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And there's other clients that are just like, make me feel good, make me feel comfortable, and I'm good moving forward with you guys. So I think, to answer the question, It's more about the individual client that you're talking to than anything else, and doing your due diligence on that person, whether that's before you ever talk to them. Social media is a powerful tool, man. Most people, I've already seen all their socials. I already know where they work. I've already seen their company website. I've already read their bio. I've already seen pictures of them and their kids on vacation in Malibu from their Instagram. So I've done my research before I get on a call with somebody. But then spending the first 5, 10, 15 hour, however long is appropriate for your process of getting to know that person as a human being, not just another call on your calendar, that will tell you what you need to know about how to close them. And that will let you know how much education you need to provide to them and not overeducate them.
Makes sense. Can you walk us through a time when a property transformation really blew you away? One that significantly impacted occupancy rates?
Yeah, I've got a great example. I'll keep it short and sweet. There's a underperforming property in Scottsdale that we took on a couple of years ago. It was an existing short-term rental, so we had historic data on it. It was earning about $100,000 a year in revenue, and it was just kind of a crummy house. But it had a pool and it had a couple of decent things. It was okay. It wasn't terrible, wasn't great, but it had no heart, it had no soul, it had no theme. And we realized that this house was within a crazy proximity of like 4 golf courses. It was literally right in between 4 golf courses. And then we read all the reviews and we realized that it was a lot of groups of guys coming to play golf that were coming to this house because of its location. So we doubled down on that. We took a garage that was unused space. We permitted it and converted it into a really cool game room, bar, poker table, golf simulator. We went to the outside. We did a mini golf course with a chipping range. And then we just updated the decor and the paint to make it feel like it was a golf themed house, rebranded this house. The next 12 months, it did $230,000 in revenue. So it not
Wow.
only it did more than double the amount of revenue over the next 12 months it had done the prior 12 months. The property owner made all their money back in the first 12 months. They didn't even invest that much money into the house as what they made in that second year. So to me, seeing those type of transformations are really cool.
That is awesome. The ultimate guys golf weekend getaway. Love it.
For sure. And then guys are willing to pay a premium, right? You got 4, 5, or 6 guys, and you're thinking, okay, this place is $3,000 for the 5 nights. Everybody's got to chip in $500. Or this place is $5,000 for the 5 nights. Everybody's got to chip in 1,000. But look at this, guys. We got a poker room. We got golf simulators. We got mini golf course. Da 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 da. When you think about it in those terms, it's not that difficult to double your nightly rate and make twice as much revenue.
That is awesome. In sales, objections are part of the game. What's the most common pushback you hear? How do you overcome it?
I think probably in any business, price is oftentimes a tough objection to overcome. We have a unique advantage in that we're selling to people that are, for the lack of a better term, business owners. They're opening a business. And so they're able to see some real tangible revenue projections based upon the investment that they make into the home. And so that oftentimes makes price not as hard of a thing to overcome. Price and how long things take to me are always the biggest objections. And it's really about value stacking and making sure that they understand that the price doesn't matter, right? Is $100,000 a lot of money? Of course it is. But if you were buying $1,000,000 house, would $100,000 be a lot of money? Of course not, because the value far exceeds the price that the product is. And so that's what you have to do. If you sell a $10,000 product, you have to provide a perceived value of $20,000 to your clients. And
Mhm.
then price is no longer an objection. And if people are telling you it's too expensive, it's simply because you haven't provided enough value for the dollars that you're asking for.
You're working with both design and construction teams. How do you sell confidence in a process that involves so many moving parts?
Um, that's very hard to do. It's oftentimes coming down to um, our resume and what we've done prior that allows us to overcome that because people can see our previous work. And when we first got started, it was really hard. I mean, you're asking people to go out on a limb for you and hire you for the first time. And I think to that, I would say that it comes down to the relationship. That's what I'd circle back to what I talked about earlier. If people like you as a human being and you've taken time to get to know them and to connect with them and find mutual common ground, the perception that I'm unsure if I can trust you, oftentimes goes away because they're like, yeah, I called this guy on Saturday and he just answered the phone and chatted with me about my questions for a couple of minutes. So really just being vulnerable and being a person they can connect with, I think oftentimes overcomes those objections.
How has technology from property data analytics to virtual design tools impacted your sales process?
Yeah, in the world of AI, things are changing rapidly. And even for those of us that are in it every day and trying to leverage those tools can be hard to keep up. So we're always trying to step up our game, use the tools available, increase our quality. We actually just had a call yesterday about our 3D renderings, and we were kind of one of the first companies to really start doing some really cool 3D renderings about a year and a half ago. We have a team member that does an awesome job, and someone else approached us and their renderings are quite frankly twice as good. And it was kind of that conversation of like, well, what got us here isn't going to get us where we need to go to our next step. And so we might have to pivot. And so really it like just being open to the rapid technology changes is going to be very important for most businesses. And then I would say it drastically impacts our sales process, where as our product gets better, the sales process gets easier. We see more sales come in, our volume goes up, our dollar amount goes up. So it positively impacts our sales process as we leverage this technology to get a better and better product for our clients.
Absolutely. STR Cribs thrives in a niche. What advice would you give other sales leaders about finding and owning a niche in their market?
Yeah, it's oftentimes I feel like based upon your personal experience. And so I do feel like the businesses that thrive the most are the ones who have solved their own problem, their own need in their own personal lives. And then you've just got to go out and find the other people that have the same need and problem as you have, which I think that finding that niche and then finding the people in the niche is actually more important than the sales process and da 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 da. I'd rather spend 6 hours finding the right person to get in front of, the perfect person to get in front of, and then 1 hour with them to close that right person, than an hour finding 20 people and then spending the next 6 hours working with those 20 people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
And being in a niche has really allowed us to do that, right? It allows it allows anybody to do it. If you have a niche and you know your target, no matter how small it is, it's easy to take your time, line up your shot and hit that target versus not knowing your target and just shooting and hope you hit something.
Absolutely. When you're leading a sales conversation, what's the number one thing you listen for from the client to know you're on the right track?
There's definitely some key things that come up for me when you're chatting with a client. I would say really making sure that their goals are aligned with your goals, and that the problem that they have is a problem that you are set up to solve. And I oftentimes tell people, not like being rude to them, and I'm full transparency, and I tell that I say, folks, at the risk of offending you, our service isn't designed to handle the problem that you have. But I know someone's who is, so here's a referral. Go talk to so and so at this company. And what it does is when you don't take the wrong deal or the wrong client or the wrong product or the wrong problem, because that's not the problem you solve, you set the expectation that this is what we do. We do this service, and that client will almost always come back to you because they know what problem you solve. And so I'm definitely looking to make sure that we are aligned and that their problem is the problem that we solve. And if it's not, then we let them go.
What's your personal approach to setting and hitting big sales targets?
Yeah, I try to I used to do I used to over metric our sales, and I used to do weekly, daily check-ins, bi-weekly, monthly goals, da 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 da, over targeted, over gold, over. I mean, the approach was just too much. And all it did was just cause stress and anxiety. And it was like, we're so worried about hitting our goal by Friday because it's the 30th of the month and we've got to hit the numbers that we set for our team, da 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 da. But does it really even matter if we hit the goal by Friday or if we don't end up hitting it until the following Wednesday? It doesn't change the business's bottom line. So I think I'm probably much more relaxed than most sales leaders. And I'm looking at things quarterly, biannually, or annually. So if our goal is 20 million in this calendar year, which it actually was 20 million, and we're on track to hit that, I'm not breaking it down saying, okay, well, I need 5 million a quarter, which is 2.5, 2.7, whatever it is, or 1.7, excuse me, a month, which is 600,000 a week. And then on Friday, I'm stressing going, oh my gosh, we only closed 300,000 this week. Our goal is 600,000 or hit da. I've been in those organizations. I've even been a leader in those organizations. And it doesn't work when your salespeople are desperate to hit a goal. Your clients can feel it. It's like a dead body. You just stink. You just reek of desperation. And no one wants to do business with someone that's desperate. But when you say, it's all good, guys, you want to do business with us or not? That attitude, that mindset makes people want to work with you. It's like, it's the beautiful woman. If you're chasing a beautiful woman and you're over interested in her, she's not interested in you, man. And so it's the same type of concept. And so really when I set goals, it's on a yearly basis. And then obviously you want to have some accountability. It can't be free range. We can't get to Q3 and go, holy crap, we're way off our goal. We haven't even checked on it. But I'm really looking at quarterly goals. I'm not looking at monthly or weekly goals because I feel like too many sales organizations put too much time pressure. It causes anxiety, stress, and it just leads to poor results.
I agree with that leadership style. Looking ahead, where do you see the biggest growth opportunities in the short-term rental space, and how is STR Cribs positioning itself to capture them?
Yeah, I think that the industry is going more and more into the niches and into the experiences and less about competing with hotels. You've got, Airbnb really became famous for shared spaces, right? That's how the founders started it, by renting out a spare bedroom. And more people are getting away from that business model. It's very hard to compete with a hotel. They have 500 doors under the same roof, and they have one cleaning crew that can turn all these rooms in a very short period of time, and they have on-site staff. And because they've got scale, they can really lower their price. It's hard. It's almost impossible for short-term rental operators to compete with hotels. And so if you have a 1 or 2 bedroom condo, good luck, man. So I think the industry's seen that, and more people are gravitating towards the tree house in the mountain or the cool beachfront house that has a swimming pool and amazing views and really just unique, different places to stay. That's what the industry is becoming more and more of. And I would say, if anything, we've actually kind of spearheaded that. Like, we've been the ones preaching this for years and years and years. And the industry is more or less positioning itself around our positioning versus us shifting to the industry. The industry's almost shifted a little bit to what we've been preaching. So we don't have much positioning, if anything, to do. We're just trying to improve quality and quantity as more and more people are seeing things how we have seen things for a while.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've stayed in Airbnbs that are just your run-of-the-mill house in a suburban neighborhood, and it's just a super boring experience and obviously not something you want to repeat. And I've also stayed at Airbnbs that are, super unique and a really cool experience. Maybe it's a loft in a warehouse district of a downtown area where it's like, you know what, I would totally come back here. So I totally get the experience aspect of Airbnb and the renovation side.
Yeah, you remember those great stays, right?
Totally.
And you
Totally.
want to go back to them, and they improved your vacation. You've got pictures of your kids playing on the swings or whatever it is, man. It's memorable, and because of that, you're willing to pay a premium, and then whoever owns the property on the back end gets to make money. And so it's advantageous for everybody to do things like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the vacation rather than just a bed to sleep in at night, right?
Exactly. And if you're providing beds to sleep in, man, good luck. Good luck competing with the Motel 6 and the
Yep,
Holiday
totally,
and the Holiday.
totally.
How can you? And you can't.
Exactly. All right, that's a wrap. Big thanks to Mark Lumpkin for sharing how STR Cribs is redefining what's possible in the short-term rental market. From sales strategies to property transformations, there's a lot to take away here, especially if you're in the business of selling not just a product, but a vision. Until next time, keep setting big goals, keep closing big deals, and keep turning potential into performance. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for having me on, Andrew. Great to chat with you.
This episode is brought to you by Goals.com. the sales performance platform built to help teams stay focused, motivated, and on track. While most CRMs just track data, Goals.com drives real results. It's simple, affordable, and designed to help your sales team hit targets faster, without the headache of complex setup or costly consultants. Whether you're using a CRM or not, Goals.com works seamlessly to elevate your performance. Book a fun, fast demo today at Goals.com.